Okay, so now let's see how do we use analytical models to study this problem. So we know we're going to assume that there is a manufacturer, a reseller, and a salesperson in our supply chain. Certainly there can be many, but in each case, in each time we focus on this three-player structure. So there will be three players in our game or model. The supply chain is operated in, we say, is operated in this make-to-order fashion. That means the manufacturer can produce products after the demand is realized. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the inventory problem. This allows us to focus on the informational issue. Okay, yeah, because we want to ask which part of the information is more important to the manufacturer. We were going to normalize the unit production cost and the unit retail price to 0 and 1. Yeah, that will not create any problem to us. We're going to assume that the demand volume or sales outcome, or we know these two are identical because there's no information problem. There's no inventory issue. So the sales outcome would be X, and we're going to assume that it satisfies this additive form, theta plus A plus epsilon. So let's see what's this. Theta is the continuous market condition. Its mean is, we're going to call it mu, and we assume theta follows capital F and small f as the CDF and PDF. We do not make specific assumption on F and F, but we assume theta satisfies the increasing failure rate assumption. That means on the inverse, okay, we're going to use H to denote the inverse failure rate. Here this is a typo, it should be small f in the bottom and 1 minus capital F in the numerator. Okay, this inverse failure rate would be decreasing in theta, or that means the failure rate is increasing in theta. Okay, the standard assumption. We're going to say that the salesperson can decide this A, the sales effort, which should be non-negative, and the cost for achieving sales effort A would be 1 over 2 times A squared, this quadratic form, again, standard assumption. Finally, the random noise epsilon, okay, this part is a random noise that follows the normal distribution with variance sigma squared. Okay, so X is additive for market condition, effort, and the random noise. The higher the effort, the higher the expectation of outcome. But with the random noise, no one can make sure that this will really be a higher effort gets the higher outcome. So both theta and A, the market condition and sales effort, are observed by the salesperson privately, but the manufacturer cannot see it. So that's why we say in the direct sales case, there's an adverse selection and moral hazard. The salesperson privately observed these two pieces of asymmetric information. So there are two possible alternatives, two types of resellers. One is knowledgeable, one is diligent. So the knowledgeable reseller is an expert in demand forecasting or in knowing the market. So the knowledgeable reseller can observe theta and eliminates adverse selection. Okay, so in the lower level, there will only be moral hazard. Theta is observed by the knowledgeable reseller. Or if we are using this diligent reseller, he is an expert in performance measurement, and the diligent reseller can observe A and eliminates moral hazard. So there will only be adverse selections in the lower level. We also need to specify the risk attitudes of these players. As a standard assumption, we say that firms are risk neutral and individuals are risk averse. To make this assumption, we are assuming that the larger the entity, the less risk averse they are. So that means if you are only a single person, then you are somewhat risk averse, right? But if you are a company or you are a group, then typically you are more able to take risk. So that's why we assume firms are risk neutral and individuals are risk averse. So the manufacturers and the resellers are risk neutral and the salesperson is risk. For the risk averse reseller, we need to specify utility function. Again, here we follow the standard assumption to say the utility function is negative exponential function. So if z is the net income and the rho is the coefficient of absolute risk aversion, then the salesperson's utility is negative exponential negative rho times z. Okay, so with all of them, we have this exponential utility function, normal random noise. Then we are giving you a hint that we are going to use the LEM model. So the other two persons, the manufacturer and the resellers, they are risk neutral, so they maximize their expected profits. So for tractability, we are going to adapt the LEM model, so we assume linear contract. That means for the reseller's part, the reseller is going to offer this linear contract, alpha plus beta x, to the salesperson. X is the sales outcome or the total sales revenue, and then alpha would be the fixed payment to the salesperson, and the beta would be a commission rate for the salesperson. So for all those revenues, part of them will be shared to the salesperson. Similarly, the manufacturer is going to offer U plus Vx to the reseller. U is the fixed payment and V is the commission rate. When it is necessary, the contract designer is going to offer a menu to the contract follower. Yeah, and we're going to see that later. So collectively, we say we are applying this LEM model because we are using linear contracts, exponential utility functions, and the normal noise. Finally, we need to specify the timing. Suppose the manufacturer chooses a knowledgeable reseller, then the first thing is for the manufacturer to offer the contract, and then the reseller and the salesperson, they will observe the market condition theta. The reseller will then offer a contract alpha and beta according to the market condition she observes, and then the salesperson will determine the sales effort A after agreeing with the contract, and finally the sales outcome would be realized. If the manufacturer chooses to cooperate with the diligent reseller, in that case, again, the manufacturer first offers the contract, and then the salesperson only will observe the market condition. Then the reseller can design a menu of contract in this way. Okay, here, because the reseller does not observe the market condition, so there is an adverse selection problem. That's why there is a menu of contract. Also, there will be three things specified in the contract. Not only the fixed payment and commission rate, but also the effort level, because now effort is observable and thus contractable. Then the salesperson will, we know in equilibrium, truthfully select the contract and then exerts the specified sales effort. Okay, and then finally the sales outcome would be realized. Okay, so that will be our model. So we know there are players, we know their utilities, we know what will be the sales outcome, timing, and then we're going to analyze the problem so that we can compare whether a knowledgeable or a diligent reseller is more profitable for the manufacturer.